Liz McGiffin here, and I want to show you an experiment that you can do at home to talk about how precipitation happens. So rain or snow, even sleet can apply to this. Let's go over what you need first. The most important thing that you're going to need for this is making sure that you have a clear container to put this in. So whether that involves a plastic cup or a bowl, or like I'm going to be using, a mason jar. The most important thing is going to be that you can see through the container. That way you can get a full picture view of what's happening with the experiment. Alongside with this, I just grabbed some water from the tap. Also, you want to make sure you have food coloring. Any color or combination of colors is going to work for this. Just make sure that you have enough for a decent amount of drops to come out of it. You also want to make sure you have shaving cream. Now you can use any brand, but the most important thing is that you're getting the foamy kind and not the gel. So step one with this is to take your jar or container and fill it about 2/3 of the way up with water. I've already done that step to make sure that it's all ready to go. And what this is going to do is act as the atmosphere. We've talked before about how the atmosphere can act as a fluid. So in a lot of experiments like this, you can represent that simply by filling up a jar with water. Next thing you're going to do is take your shaving cream, which again, recommend for this guy that you use more of the foamy kind as opposed to the gel. And that's going to be representing a cloud. For this experiment in particular, I recommend that you use maybe a thin layer of shaving cream. You don't need to go crazy with it. Clouds are made up of a bunch of little water droplets, and we're going to use our food dye to kind of show what happens once we add even more water droplets to that equation. So start off by adding maybe 2 or 3 drops to the equation. Don't put too many, just see what happens. You'll notice really not a whole lot. Now watch what happens as we moisten up the atmosphere a little bit more. So start adding a few more of those droplets all over the place. Let this sit for a minute and see what happens now that we've pretty much completely covered the cloud cover with that moistening atmosphere. So more and more of those water droplets being added to the equation. Well, the cloud, it's already made up of a bunch of these. And as we add more and more and more, well, what happens is you start to see those big fluffy clouds. And sometimes the atmosphere is just moist enough that all you get is the clouds and they move on. But other times, if the conditions are just right, those clouds get bigger and bigger and the water droplets start to condense, getting heavier and heavier. And when something like that happens, well, eventually you'll notice the cloud droplets start to sink down and eventually reach the ground in a form of precipitation. Now, if from the cloud to the ground we're above 32 degrees, all you're going to get out of this is rain. Same thing can be said about snow. You just have to modify the temperature profile a little bit. You'll start to see this happening. So notice how there's that trickle down from those heavier water droplets falling down from the cloud. Well, if you have the temperature from the cloud down to the ground below 32 degrees, you're going to get snow. Now, if you mix things up a little bit in the middle, say we're below 32 degrees, right below the cloud deck, warmer in the middle, and then cold again at the ground, that's going to be where you get something like sleet coming down from the clouds or those little ice pellets that you might see on a cold day.